Brodes Media.
I have a caffeine rush right now, so bear with me. We have a lot to discuss today. Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman had their press conference, and I had some takeaways, and I was a little surprised to see Nick Sirianni be the one speaking as much. You get to speak to Nick all season long, so normally this is your time to go to Howie Roseman and get some thoughts of his, but you just lose the Super Bowl. There's some decisions that maybe a couple days later, Nick Sirianni could have a different opinion on. And it felt as if Howie was in his feels. I thought he was going to cry up there. He seriously probably was feeling the same exact way we all were feeling, up 10 at half. He thought he was getting another Super Bowl. He thought that that was going to be his Hall of Fame punch-in. 2 Super Bowls for the GM, Howie Roseman executive. And what do you know? Now it's time to get back to work. I've been more of a Howie Roseman supporter than most in this city. With that said, I have one mindset heading into next offseason. You can give me the numbers that say it is extremely difficult to get back to the Super Bowl after you were just in it. And that's real. I know how hard it is. But when you fall and you lose the way that you do, personally, I believe there's only one way to go about it. Demand them to finish the job. Demand them to do it. Because what's the alternative? Hey, guys, it was a great season. Awesome offseason for Howie last year. Bringing in Reddick, bringing in Bradbury, midseason, getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That was lovely. So you could do whatever you want this offseason because I'll take pride in what just happened. Hell no. Hell no. Howie has to do what he just did last offseason again. That's the bar for me. You have to duplicate it. You didn't win. You had the roster to do it. I truly believe that. This roster could have played that Chiefs roster 10 times, and you're probably the champion more times than not. But that's not how this league works. Jonathan Gannon held you back. You have to make changes, and you have to have an aggressive offseason to do it again. So when Howie was asked about some of these pieces that are no longer going to be with this team and all that, he goes, with these draft picks, we can't just look for the right now. We need to look for the future as well. Well, there's some positions that we need that they haven't been able to draft for quite some time that I think it's time, dude. It's for the now and the future. For example, go get a young, cheap, inexpensive dog that can play the outside opposite of Slay. That's for the now because Bradbury's not going to be here, and it's for the future. They haven't been able to do that in a long time. Swing and a miss on Sidney Jones. And I didn't even hate the Sidney Jones pick at the time. I thought you got a first-round talent who was injured. Turns out he can't play at all. But that's where with Howie, too, look, I'm going to be hard on him. I'm a fan. I think he's one of the best in the league. But I have to hold him accountable. We're now at the spot where, let's just say hypothetically, there's a good wide receiver on the board, and I'm just using that as an example. We'll switch it to corner because maybe it fits better. If there's a good corner on the board and a great corner on the board, and he ends up selecting the good one, can make some plays, he's going to be here for a little bit of time, helps you out, but you missed on a great one, the margin for error right now is super tiny. Especially knowing the contract after next season is going to kick in for Jalen Hurts. That difference, that margin, I got to be harsh. Because that could be the difference in getting that Lombardi. I demand another Lombardi. I know that I always give Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb some love because there's a lot of Eagles fans here that don't appreciate what that run was, even though they didn't win it. I still said, look, it was an awesome time. Every year, you're writing yourself in for NFC Championship. But we're so far removed from that. That's more looking back. In the moment, like right now, this is it, man. This is it. And I think that there's a lot of learning from that time. There's a lot more knowledge, I think, with this culture and with Howie and with a lot of the people inside the organization, Jeffrey Lurie. You can look at that time and say, well, where did we go wrong? And then over the years, maybe getting your weapons right. Well, they did that. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. If Donovan McNabb had those two dogs, we're winning multiple championships. But I digress. I'm going to be extremely, extremely, extremely harsh on this franchise. Because they're right there. We're sniffing it. The NFC is open. Jalen Hurts is playing unbelievably. You have to maximize this opportunity. This was the best team in Philadelphia sports history. They were up 10.5 in the Super Bowl and lost. I just don't know any other way to go about it. That doesn't mean I'm not appreciating them. I think talking about appreciating the ride is a given. I don't have to tell you about how much I enjoyed beating the Giants in the first playoff game. I don't have to tell you about how much I enjoyed every Sunday kicking ass when Jalen Hurts was under center. It was every single time in the regular season except once. That's a given. But when you're in this particular spot, I think it's okay to kind of be intense. Because if not, it's a free pass. Do whatever you want. I don't really care. Who cares? You gave us a fun journey last year. Come on. Because that's the alternative. And it makes me uncomfortable feeling that way. So every single decision needs to have the crosshairs on it, and we start picking it apart to the nth degree. And how he's drafting with long-term in mind. There's a lot that I need to kind of pick apart with that Howie one, but time will tell. See, we can't be doing Cam Jurgens. We can't be doing Jordan Davis. And these players are good, right? But if we're looking at making another run, Jordan, I need more. I need a guy who's going to step in and be a stud all day long, all game long. I know they build within the trenches, and it has shown long-term success. But Cam Jurgens didn't even play. Now, I expect him to play right guard this year, and Isaac not coming back, with Jason Kelce returning. So basically running it back but swapping out your right guard. But I can't draft another lineman with one of my top picks and then him not play if the alternative could be a secondary player that could play basically every snap opposite of Slay. You see what I'm saying here? I like Jordan Davis. I think he's going to be a great player. But I need someone who can give us more right now. But you can also factor in the long term with that pick. It doesn't need to be one or the other. It doesn't need to be the long term, but then you disregard the short term. Or it doesn't need to be the short term and you disregard the long term. Because Howie said it burned us in the past when we only looked for the holes we have now. Well, you don't need to draft a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Get the right wide receiver then. I promise you there's a way to draft a secondary player that's both. And you need it. My fear is he's going to wait the market out and wait for another Bradbury. And there was some luck involved with that Bradbury. It's a great move. Fantastic move. But the Giants had to screw it up. The Giants had to make him unhappy. The Giants had to get rid of him. There was so much involved in timing with that. Not that it can't happen again. If it happens again, fine. But I don't know if the percentage is extremely high for me to buy into that as the motive. You can't sell me right now on February 18th that that's automatically going to happen late into the offseason. I do trust Howie. I'm just saying on the entire Eagles organization, because they didn't win the Super Bowl this year, I'm going to be intense.